have never desired your good opinion.
People fear what they do not understand.
I have a headache, a badge, and a gun.
Power is yours.
Behave.
I was just trying to start a conversation.
And share the wonders I've seen.
Hi, and welcome back to The Wonders I've Seen, where there's no such thing as weird or normal, there's just different. I'm your host, Tanagra, and today we'll be discussing the film Get Out, Black Horror Writ Large. And I'm joined once again by our lovely guest, J-Excks. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's awesome to have you. So what's your liquid nourishment for the day?
It's some lemon water.
Okay, all right. Nice, classy. And I'm drinking Earl Grey and cranberry juice. Don't ask about that mix. Yeah. So, all right, let's get into it. This week's horror film, Get Out. Why did you start us off, JX? Did you like this film?
I did.
And did you see it as horror? Let's start like real basic, because yeah.
I liked it when it first came out. I don't think of it as horror because when I think of horror, I think of like what's that one? Exodus. What do you call that?
Like Michael sort of stuff?
No,
like
I mean that's like slasher horror. Okay. But like with demons and stuff.
Oh, like Escape to Hell or one of those sort of things.
Yeah, I think of that as being horror.
Okay.
So this I more thought of as thriller, which I can handle because I don't like horror.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Like, I can't deal with demons.
Yeah, okay, so supernatural horror is not your thing.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Because I think partially because I believe it. So I'm like, no.
Yeah, I
watch
follow
it.
That.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah. I think, it's definitely classified as horror, but I do think it's more thriller, and I'd even maybe throw it to, like, the...
And I'm thinking Exorcist. Jeez.
Oh.
Exodus. That would be the book in the Bible.
Yeah, it would.
So yeah, I combine them all, and I'm, like, scared already.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, Exodus? Maybe there's a horror film called Exodus I'm just not familiar with, you know? Never know.
Okay.
Okay, no, that makes sense. But I would definitely put this almost in the niche of, like, sci-fi thriller even, more so than horror, because, like, the whole... Oh, yeah, obviously this podcast will be full of spoilers, and if you haven't seen Get Out, you should see it whether or not you hear these spoilers. The whole, like, the brain part of it, like, I think you could sort of throw it in there. Like, I was like, okay. But definitely I could see a thriller more so than necessarily horror, but I do think it's, like... I do think it's very specifically, like, a specific type of, let's say, like, Black horror. And not in the sense that, like, for Black audiences, but it is... the fears of being Black in America, I guess, is that what I want to say? Because I feel like I've watched this with people of different racial backgrounds, and the things that I thought were scary and creepy, or that were like that funny, so racist I have to laugh, like we were not on the same. We were laughing at different parts. Things that we thought were scary were different. Things that we thought were obvious tales of what they had done to I think it's Lakeith.
Lakeith.
Stanfield's character, like their clues were different than my clues. It was really interesting to like sit back and compare those notes. And I discussed it with like a couple other people who are not Black, and like they're like, oh, I didn't see that, I didn't notice that. Well, this is what I saw, and like what those different cues were. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that's why I always think of it as like a Black film in some ways, also because Jordan Peele directly said he made it for Black Americans, or Black people. I can't remember if he said Black Americans, but he made it for Black people, right? So yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Like that scene when he's meeting a lot of the family and people in the neighborhood.
I guess for me, I didn't find it. I didn't know what to think of it when I first saw it.
Like the movie as a whole?
Like those scenes, scene by scene. I'd say, so when I'm in the theater, I think because I heard that it was a scary movie, so I'm just having these expectations of, okay, something's going to happen that makes me jump out of my seat, or something's going to happen, And as the movie progresses, I said, oh, okay, I see, this is not that type of scary movie.
Yes.
So I had to, I didn't really have to change my thinking. It's it wasn't that type of scary movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever heard that it was...
See, I heard it was a horror before I saw it, which is actually the initial reason why I wasn't going to go see it.
Right.
Because I don't like horror.
No, that's fair.
So,
I mean, usually that's my thought process too, actually, because I'm not really a big fan of horror, even though I'm doing this whole film series. And,
but then people kept saying how much social commentary it had.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, that sounds like my cup of tea.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go see it.
Yes. It's all about those social commentary movies.
Yeah. So
I'd agree.
So then, yeah. So I that's why I still don't think of it as a horror, because it just didn't scare me like that.
All right. So then do you think that it's a good thriller?
Yes, that I do.
Okay.
It's a good thriller.
Okay.
Because there was things that, I mean, you know, as the story was unraveling, I did not expect for things to happen, and then it just went left field, and it was like, whoa, okay. The brain part was left field. It's like,
is the brain part what you thought was the most left field?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
That part I wasn't expecting, but everything else seemed normal.
Wait, what do you mean everything else seemed normal? Oh, wait, what do you mean? No, I'm going to ask. What do you mean?
I mean, everything else, the way it was unraveling, I'm like, yeah, this is real. Like how some people...
Okay. Okay.
You know, how some people were just like, I mean, you know, you've heard that joke where black people have been like, it was a documentary. I'm like, all right. I wouldn't go that far, but I was just like, yeah, okay, this is just normal.
Right, okay, that's what you mean. Then yeah, I would agree with that, right. It was very much like, oh, black boyfriend going to meet white girlfriend's family.
Yeah, and I initially just thought he was stupid. I was like,
really?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Because I was just like, I mean, this is the social commentary part, but I'm just like,
yeah,
you're dating this girl who, at no point she's giving you this clues that she is not really, not really, I don't know what the word is, that, I don't want to say that liberal, because she's the perfect example of liberal white people in this country.
Yeah, she's very much liberal white.
But, like, she's not very...
she's ultimately racist?
Yeah, which, I mean, is true of, like, a lot of liberal white people.
Right.
So...
But, like, him seeing those clues.
He should have seen those clues. Because, like, it's so obvious to me. Like, for me, I was watching this, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, he's so stupid.
I mean, but okay, so...
Like... I met people like her all the time, and I
but this is what I was about to ask you. Do you think it's obvious to you because you've met people like that, or because, like, you're in a unique situation as, like, a woman of color? Because I do feel that sometimes women of color are more aware, and I'm talking about, like, just not even in, like, fictional world, but in real life, right? We're just more aware of those things.
No.
Like, so you just think you've met a lot more white liberals? Or you think you, like... Right,
no, I just find that he should know more white liberals.
Oh.
Like, I don't find black men to be that dense on that either.
Yeah.
Like, if more so, like, even more so, someone in his position would be even more weary.
So I would agree with that, and I felt that maybe one reason that he was a bit more forgiving was because, like, Jordan Peele definitely made him like he doesn't really have family. He's been traumatized, and then he's trying to go into the art world, right? So that need for, like, somebody who will support you both emotionally and like in your work and your passion was also there. So he was more willing to be, like, probably forgiving of things,
right? Because
he didn't have that from, like, somebody else in his life. That's how I felt like he was sort of trying to, like, be like, no, he's not dumb. He had other things that he was dealing with, you know. Even, like, at that moment at the end where he hits the grandmother and she's in the black woman's body, and he, like, starts to have a flashback to being younger, and then he stops and puts her in the car even though she was trying to kill him because he can't leave her there. Right. You know, because it's, like, another black woman who dies because of a car crash, and it reminded of his mom. So I thought that maybe that was right, he was just dealing with too much other shit to see that she was obviously like your standard white racist liberal, right?
It could be that, or it could be, I've also met men like him, or met people like him, I should say,
who
just don't get like weird white liberalism. So I sit there and say, you're dumb. Like, how can you not get this?
So maybe he just really didn't see it.
Yeah.
Until it was like actually right in his face.
Because I see that too.
Yeah, because for me,
and not just from men. I mean, I see it from women as well.
I'd agree, definitely. Yeah, this is not like a only men do it thing. Yeah. Not at all. Yeah, for me, I sort of was like, I only started to doubt when she was like, let's just leave. And he's like, no, let's stay. And I was like, why would you stay after that party? After her parents are racist, you want to stay in their house longer than necessary. I was like, okay, now that's when I thought he was stupid.
I thought he was, I mean, there were a lot of times. So if we go back to the party scene, I mean, even before that, let's go back to the dinner scene where he's first sitting down with the family and so there were a couple of things in there that I thought this movie would be over if it were me, because I'm short-tempered too, so I would have gotten irritated and be like, I'm leaving, bye.
Yeah,
because I would have gotten annoyed with the my man thing. I'm like,
I know.
I normally get annoyed when people are like, I would have voted for Obama 3 times. Good for you. And then the brother was just off.
Right?
So yeah, that would have just made me afraid.
Yes. I also don't know about the idea of like visiting your Sig O's family when like they're directly telling you your family's racist and you're like, well, now we're gonna go up in the middle of nowhere to their house and stay with them and they'll be okay with it. I was like, you really love her? Okay. Like I felt like
like when he asked if her family knew that he was black.
Yeah, and like he's not even certain of that, but he's still gonna go up and stay with them. But then like,
which I find very interesting too, because I mean, I would say, because I went to school in the Midwest, and I would say like a lot of people I knew were white, and they come from white towns, and obviously white families. Well, no, not obviously, but
they did,
but there were certain white friends that I had that I would feel the necessity to ask, like, does your family know I'm black?
Yeah.
When they would invite me home. And then there are other white friends that I knew I wouldn't have to ask because of their behavior.
Yeah, there's definitely like that's one thing that I feel like this film captures well are those little signs, and like if he had been looking closer he would have seen them.
Right.
Because I don't think that Jordan Peele took them out, and I definitely think Allison, I can't remember her name, like she does them all. She's very much that white liberal. I feel like it's just that he didn't, like the character just didn't want to see them.
Right.
Yeah, like those little cues that let you know, like those friends you need to ask about their family and the friends that you're like, it'll be okay.
Right. And, but as a viewer, I could say he's stupid. I mean, if he actually is or not, but as a viewer, I could, sit there and be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do.
No, definitely.
When you're watching a thriller.
No, I'd agree. Yeah, there's also a lot of like, I read about a lot of the symbolism with like the cotton and the running and all of that. Yeah. And I thought that was great, but for me, I actually didn't need all of that to add to the like the fear and the suspense of the film. You know what I mean? Like I love good symbolism, but like
right.
For me it was enough like, oh, he's about to have his brain taken out of his head and put in another man's body. Like that's creepy enough. And like yeah. But no, I do like this film. I don't watch it very often because I do think it is, like you're saying, like, oh, like it's so standard, like it's so real that I don't feel the necessity to watch it that often, because like when the movie came out was after everything had happened and the shootings had first started. And then now things are so much better in our country and racism is gone. So I don't need to watch the film to think about the dark times of the past. So yeah, I don't watch it that often. Even watching it the other day during the broadcast was interesting to me because I was like, oh, like, yeah, no, I don't feel like I necessarily get anything out of the film, I guess. Like,
no, I mean, I'm not sure I got anything out of it the first time.
Right.
I mean, as a film, I thought it was interesting that, it was on film, so it spoke to me that way.
Yeah.
Because I don't, think, you don't see that much contemporary film that will speak to Black experience.
Yeah.
That way.
I would definitely agree with that.
That's nuanced.
Yeah, and the nuances are...
So, for example, we'll take Keith Stanfield's character. So you were saying how when he at the party that you knew that's the point you knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
So for me,
yeah,
I took that as a completely different. I didn't take that as oh, there's something wrong, because I've also been at those type of parties where you're the only person of color there.
Right.
Or you're the only Black or brown person there. And then you're scanning the room and you're looking for another Black or brown face.
Yeah.
So you just zone in on them. And this is how I took this film, was that you find that person and then you go over and you talk to them and then you're like, oh, damn. and that's happened to me where I'm just like, oh, damn, you're not woke. Okay. I am back to actually being by myself.
Right. No,
that's how I was like, okay, it may have been could have meant that there was something wrong, but I also feel like it was also speaking to when you're in a place and you're really trying to find someone of color to, kind of make you feel comfortable in the situation.
Yeah.
And then you find that person and they're in the sunken place. You're like, oh, God.
All right.
And that happened. I mean, to me, it happens in real life.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had it happen in real life, and then I judge that person and hold it against them, until they prove me wrong. But yeah, so I've definitely had that happen, but I felt like it was such an extreme with his character that I was like, okay, what is this? And also probably maybe because I can't remember the TSA that the friend had spoken about him and talked about how he was really cool, and then you meet him.
No, he said that afterwards.
Was it afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He said that after he showed them
the picture and
yeah.
took the picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I was just like, no, he should be cool, or maybe that's how I think of Keith Stanfield, in all honesty. Maybe that's just how I think of the actor.
You're thinking of Atlanta.
Right. Maybe I just assume Keith Stanfield will always be cool. And when he's not in the movie, I'm like, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Oh,
no. He has some problematic things, so.
Oh, I'm not saying he hasn't. Just, every time I see him portraying a character, they're always cool. Whether or not yeah. That's a whole nother issue. That'll be a different podcast. But yeah.
That would be called homophobia.
Yeah. Period. Yeah. But no.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. I just didn't know where the twist was gonna come, and I think when it came, I just didn't know it was gonna go there.
Really?
Well, I didn't think it was gonna go with brains being switched out.
That's the whole the surgical room downstairs. I was like, okay, all right.
Honestly, I thought it was gonna be kind of I can't remember what this movie was, but it made me afraid to go to Maine for ever.
Is it Stepford Wives?
No, that's in Connecticut.
Oh, oops. Sorry, y'all. I know they're different.
No, there was this movie about this white couple who moves to Maine.
Okay.
Some small town in Maine. And they start to realize how white their town is. And the wife makes this comment about how they're the most ethnic people there. And I don't remember what their I was very young when I saw this, so I don't really remember what their ethnicity was.
But they were still white.
They were still white, appearance-wise, but I don't know if they were Jewish or if they were like Jewish but not practicing,
right?
Or if they were Mediterranean, you know, because this was a very waspy town. So I don't know if they were like Italian and like why she made the comment. Like, I don't know, this town seems so off. Like if we're the most ethnic people here is what her comment was, just like, if we're in, you know, in other places we would be considered white, but like in this town even us are sticking out. And anyway, so they go through this whole thing, and then they find out like this town have been killing all their people of color and like sticking them in these rooms. So like,
what?
Yeah,
crazy ass movie were you watching?
I don't know. So then, you know, they tried to kill her, and she was trapped in this room, and she was in this room with all these dead bodies of like. There was like a black family and like an Asian one, and she was like,
my god!
And it was just like this weird thing.
That's so creepy.
Yeah, and finally there was this kind of weird divide in this town where so it was just like part of this town was being really racist, and the other part of the town was just being complicit. And then finally the complicit people were just like, enough is enough.
Maybe we should stop murdering people.
And then the two main characters had like they escaped, and I don't know how.
What
you know.
Creepy ass movie is it? Okay, anybody listening to the podcast, if you know what film J-Excks is describing, please at me with that information at Tanagra GGNOC.
Yeah, I would also like to know, because I totally forgot the name. It was on HBO, probably in the 80s.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll add that to the horror rotation. That is terrifying.
So I thought it was going to end up something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe Jordan Peele saw the same movie.
And it inspired, and he just added in his own experience.
Yeah.
Okay. That is creepy as fuck. But it sounds like that had a positive ending, just luckily like Get Out does.
Yeah.
Which I love Get Out's ending. I'm so happy he didn't go with the alternative ending. Because I definitely don't think like we needed... I feel like the film was too real. We don't need more reality in the end.
Although I would say that most people expected the reality.
Oh, I completely did.
Yeah, because...
But I think that's why it's a nice
yeah,
surprise.
oh yeah, because when when the
did.
cops came, everybody was like, ah!
I know, I was like,
God!
oh,
like,
he's
this guy
gonna
cannot
die.
catch a break.
Oh, this is not good. I was like, oh, or they're gonna take him to jail, and then he just mysteriously won't make it there. Yeah. Like, something is gonna happen, and then you see, like, airport, and I was like, is it?
And you see TSA.
Yeah, and they're like, ah! Yeah. Like, people were, like, laughing and, like, clapping.
I was laughing.
Because everybody was, like, relieved.
Yeah.
You know? Just that, like, oh, the deep, like, you let your breath out. But, no, I love the happy ending of this film. That's why I'm going to call it a happy ending. Well, any other last thoughts about it?
I don't really have any thoughts about it, I guess. I feel like when it first came out, I mean, there's been so many think pieces about it.
Right?
That I feel like everything that has been said. I mean,
there's a class at UCLA,
right?
Yeah, and like having watched this when it came out in the theaters.
I do want to talk about the Asian character though.
Oh,
because I know there's
one Asian character at the auction.
Yes, and I know that like amongst the Asian folks.
Yes,
that there's
Speak
been
on their peoples.
Yeah. That there's been a split on that, you know.
A split on what?
Well, some people feel like there's only one Asian character in here.
Mm-hmm.
So then why does it have to be this guy? You know?
Oh, because there's only one Asian character in the entire film.
Right. And
okay.
Then,
I do think that was also calculated, though.
Oh, I agree, because I've also been in the situation where I've seen the one Asian person in the room, East Asian person in the room.
Mm.
And I also don't think it's lost that he was Japanese American.
Yeah.
Then that you also feel like, okay, you are an other, but you're trying to be white.
Yeah, like so white adjacent.
Yeah, so you're still you're still fitting into this white supremacy.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm not white, but I'm not black.
Right. No, very much so. Right.
So,
that's ultimately how like the scale of racism in our country works. Like where are you on the scale between black and white?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think particularly for a lot of East Asians, and not all East Asians are lighter skinned, but East Asians who are, like it's easier to play into that white adjacent and the perpetuation of it. And I do think it's not lost that it was a very specifically a Japanese man, right?
Yeah.
Like that was definitely a choice. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that's interesting. So what are people split on though? Like in the Asian community, that it was a Japanese
some people
person?
find it find it calculated, and they get it, and they talk about roles in black and white supremacy or anti-blackness, anti-black racism. Yeah, is basically
definitely.
Yeah, and then other people are just like, well, we're not white. This isn't our experience,
not catching like right, okay,
anti-blackness,
right. It's not about it's about the anti-black part, not right. Okay, not saying that this is how all East Asians are. That's definitely not. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I found those conversations to be interesting. Usually, sometimes those conversations make me feel uncomfortable.
Do you feel like you're caught in the middle of them, or you just don't? I mean, you're fairly. Well, anytime we speak about like racial issues, you don't hold punches. So I find it interesting that you find that they make you uncomfortable.
I'm not holding punches, but I still feel uncomfortable as I'm punching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. It does.
Yeah.
Huh.
I usually don't like to I don't know, whenever anything becomes black and Asian, I don't really like to weigh in on the conversation. But then I do.
Right. I would say I feel like you would have so much to add to a conversation like that. But I could also get sometimes just being like, no, I don't want to do this.
Right. Because usually, whenever I've gotten into these situations where I've had these conversations, it's always this like, Asian people being saying like, well, black folks do this, and then black folks be like, Asian people do this, and then I'm like, yeah, on both accounts,
right, right,
and and then I'm just like, you're so stupid, divide and conquer.
It is,
and that's how I kind of view the whole thing, which is why I tend to not like to have those conversations, because I feel like people aren't listening to me, so then I just get annoyed, and I'm like, divide and conquer, just be complicit in your own oppression.
All right, J-Excks is like, all right, that's fine, live in your own little hell. Like, that's what you sound like. Like, that's what you sound like. Okay. All right, then. I can get that, though. You're right. Because you are speaking in a place of, like, personal knowledge and life experience, and then for people to just, like, discount it.
Yeah.
It's just like, why am I even wasting my time? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get that. Well, I appreciate your thoughts on these issues. And I do not discount them. If you want to talk about Black and Asian issues any other time, you're welcome to do so on the Wonders I've Seen podcast. With that Tanagra DGNSC. Yeah. You can have a whole episode about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Anti-Asian blackness and anti-blackness and Asian. Am I saying that right? Yeah. In the Asian community. Yeah.
I haven't seen it in pop culture.
I feel like in pop culture it comes more out. It comes out more in like tokenism.
Yeah.
Right. Or like or things like people wearing chopsticks on the part of people like appropriating Asian culture, and then in the Asian culture doing it the same with like, particularly with like rap and R&B culture as far as Black culture goes. It's a very interesting relationship, to say the least, between the two. I'll just put it that way. A lot of we're just gonna say racism on both sides. Like, yeah. Like, and like stuff that you could easily educate yourself out of, I also would agree. But
Yeah.
you're right. People sometimes just don't. And they're like, well, like, y'all do this, so we do this. And I saw that once in a Twitter thread, and people were like, that doesn't make it better. Yeah. So then we have the J-Excks of the world.
Yeah.
200% everything.
200%. 200%
right.
of a person.
That's right. 100%
Black, 100% Korean.
What? Represent. Thank you, J-Excks, for joining and for speaking your thoughts on Get Out.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Please come back. We can talk.
I have to go back to my therapist.
You know what? Therapy is good. Self-care, y'all. Self-care. If you want to keep talking about this, whether it's about the film, the representation of the Asian character, whether or not you have your own subconscious bias, let us know. Reach out to me at Tanagra GGNOC. J-Excks, do you want them to ask you about this or no?
Oh,
for our new listeners, do you want them to know where to find you?
Hate mail coming.
Okay.
At Ye Simmons.
All right, sounds good. For all you Android users, you can find us on Anchor and RadioPublic. And for all you iThings users, you can listen in on iTunes and Overcast. You can also listen to us while watching this is not going to be an awesome slideshow. Maybe we'll put up like unicorns or something instead of our usual pictures of the media we talk about. But you can watch an awesome slideshow on YouTube while you're also listening to us. So don't forget to join us all this month until October 31st, where we're going to be doing weekly film showings, either on Wednesday morning or Thursday nights, and to celebrate our 6-month Halloween anniversary of The Wonders I've Seen. So leave us a message on some platform. Let us know your thoughts. Submit a movie. Suggest a show. And we'll be watching all that on Rabbit. Make choices and don't frolic up.